Hi, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Today we're going to be talking about Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw. Her debut novel, The Wicked Deep, I fell in love with this author's writing through that novel. And if there's anything that Ernshaw excels at, it's definitely creating the perfect atmosphere for her storytelling. I can't say this enough, I really do love her storytelling. I honestly do. She has such a great feel for creating this really cold and eerie atmosphere, and she makes sure that there's this unsettling feeling that continues throughout the story. You think you know everything that's happening, only to find out you had no idea what was really happening. She's really good at subverting predictability. So I do love her for that. And I did like the story. I have to give it 4 stars, though. I can't give it a perfect 5 because my issue with the story is that first opening, it's great, It's a good atmosphere. I'll say this. It is a good atmosphere. I love the opening chapter. You're following Nora Walker as she enters the Wicker Woods, and they are woods filled with malice in their roots. This is an evil forest, that comes alive. And she's doing it under the safety of a full moon because it's the only time that you can do this. So I thought that was interesting. It is compelling. It is entirely spellbinding and entrancing to read that first chapter, because she finds a boy in the woods who's been missing for 2 weeks, and it should be impossible for him to be alive, and yet there he is alive. So there's that, and then she discovers one boy missing, one boy dead, from the camp. So that kind of puts her at odds with Oliver just a bit. And once again, it goes towards creating that eerie atmosphere, that unsettling atmosphere in the novel. Now, that being said, by focusing on creating, the atmosphere, by focusing on creating, the character dynamics and the characterization, getting to know these characters as people, you kind of lose some of that eeriness a little bit, and it kind of slows down the story. You're just kind of wondering, when is it going to pick up pacing wise? That's not to say it's a bad story. It's a slow and steady story, I should say. And because there are times where the pacing is just a little too slow, some of that eeriness, that unsettling feeling, it gets lost for about, I want to say, a third of the novel. The second, everything after that, 2/3 of the novel, is really well done. You're on edge. The creepiness factor is back. That unsettling factor is back. And I love it because, you're drawn into the story with that unsettling by getting to know these other characters. Across the lake from where she lives is a camp for wayward boys. It's where parents and their sons who have already blown their last chance. So you're getting to know some of these boys, and they're not good. Again, they've blown their last chance, and now they're here. So you already know that these are delinquents who really don't care. And she's kind of put at odds with them. She's a walker. And she's often ostracized by her own town because she's a walker. She's a witch. And she's perfectly content with that. I'll say this about Ernshaw. I love her characterization of Nora. She is a walker. She does practice forest remedies, new age magics, because those are her roots. That those are her roots. That's her heritage right there. And she's perfectly content to be ostracized for being who she is, for being true to her origins. It makes her very fierce. It makes her very headstrong. Even when she's afraid, she doesn't back down. And I think that's really strong storytelling. Not strong. It's really strong characterization as far as Nora is concerned. Because you kind of fall in love with her. You fall in love with her suspicious nature. You fall in love with her narrative. There is a lot of internal dialogue regarding her character to realize, she is just a girl who just wants to be left alone. She's perfectly content. She collects lost things from a pretty much evil forest, and she connects with her roots quite strongly. I think that's really great that Ernshaw is able to completely build this character around all that. And when she goes head to head with these bad boys, she doesn't lose face. She tries to warn them. They don't want to listen to her. They kind of bully her around a little bit to get what they want near the end, and in the end it kind of costs them. It doesn't cost her. She ends up saving the day, but it costs them. And then, there's a great twist at the end. I didn't see it coming. Maybe some of you other readers did, but I sure as heck didn't. I thought it was great, though. I loved that plot twist in the story. Because I was like, what? And going back and forth between Nora and Oliver, I'm more drawn to Nora because I feel like there's more complexities to her characterization. I feel like Ernshaw develops Nora a little bit more versus Oliver. That's not to say he was done poorly or written poorly. He is, I think, the perfect balance for Nora. He allows her to open up a little bit more, but she, he's a softer character. You're kind of wondering, why is he at this, what was his last chance? Like, he seems like such a nice guy. How did he blow it? And you find out he didn't really blow it. His parents, spoiler alert, his parents died, so he was sent off to live with his uncle, who didn't really want to take care of him, so he just sent him there. Probably cheaper than, a boarding school, I guess. So you have this boy who feels so unwanted, who wants nothing more than to belong. And I just wish that had been developed a little bit more so that I could have connected with him more. I'm able to sympathize with this character, and it's easy to see his connection with Nora. I love their dynamic together. I feel like they balance each other quite perfectly, but his voice didn't register as strongly as Nora's did. Maybe that was intentional. Like I said, he is a softer character than Nora. Nora is a little hard around the edges, but he wants to find a place to belong because he doesn't feel like he belongs anymore. So I think I personally didn't feel as though his voice was very strong. I would have liked it more if his voice had been stronger, but it just wasn't. And as for the development of the story, once again, really did enjoy the development of the story. I really did love it. I'm not going to deny that. I am a fan of Earnshaw's writing. I do think she's great at creating atmosphere, and I love how she writes female characters. I feel like the male characters just kind of fade into the background once you're done reading the novel, and I can say this because the Wicked Deep, once again, female character, I can still, visualize her, but the male character, he's just kind of faded into the background for me. But that's a personal opinion, and maybe it's intentional. Maybe you are supposed to resonate strongly with Nora, or stronger with Nora than with Oliver. But ultimately, I feel like it was a slight disservice to the novel, especially if you're going to slow down the pacing of the novel to develop their dynamic. I really do think that Oliver should have had a stronger voice to bring about his personality and the characterization, and to make that tension that's there come alive even more. I love the tension of the story. It does keep the reader on edge. I love the eerie atmosphere of the woods and going out at night. I love all of that. It paints such a spooky scene, and it's just completely spellbinding, at least for me. It's just, man, Earnshaw is good at setting up a scene. She really is good at creating such a strong atmospheric read. You want to read this book at night when it's raining with a cup of tea. Like, that's how you want to read this book, because that's kind of the setting it gives you. It's a cold novel, so you just want to snuggle up and stay warm while you're reading it. And I think that's probably her strongest suit, her atmospheric writing. So once again, this is Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw. I do have to say, please check it out. I did think it was a good book at the end of the day. Once again, I gave it 4 stars. The little snippets going back Walker women generations, creates a more witchy feel to the story. I love her tone in those sections. Her tone is amazing. But, regardless, 4 stars, Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw. Please remember to check this book out from your local bookseller. And if money is tight, check it out from your local library. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.